Yo, what's up, fantasy football ballers? It's your boy, the professor, a.k.a. Tony Dunn, and this is the C3 Fantasy Football Podcast, where we explore the greatest, awesomest fantasy football league for Carolina Panther fans, where they come together and unite. And I'm uniting for the second night in a row with my homeboy, Mel Mayock, to chop up some fantasy football. What's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, Professor? Had fun last night. That was one of our better shows, man. It was a lot of fun. But tonight, get to hang with you again and talk a little bit of fantasy football. It was an interesting week for sure.
All right. Well, I guess what's the first thing that stuck out to you in this fantasy football league this week, or just in general?
Well, anytime that your team wins, it's a good week, and my team won, so I'm happy about that for sure. But I tell you, there were some close games out there, and we got a couple of prize winners to announce because we missed one last week, and then we got a new one for this week. And this week, the contest was for the most points scored by Panthers on your starting roster, which is pretty cool. And you would think somebody that had Cam Newton, going into the season, Cam Newton, Gano, and the defense, you'd be in good shape, which is what I had, but that didn't work out because I ended up picking up Derek Anderson, who gave me a whopping 5 points.
Yeah, he didn't help my fantasy effort. I have Cam Newton in my league as well, and I had to go with I went with Derek Anderson. I thought we were playing the Bucs. I thought that would be some guaranteed points. Did not work out that way. Let's start with the C3 Mills League. Just a run through the standings. In first place in the East is the Long and K1 short of it, 4-1 this week, or 4-1 now. Following number one in the West, the western side of that division or that conference is Mr. Peanut Punch, who is tied atop his league. It's a close race in the C3 Mills West division. Yeah. Mr. Peanut Punch, Chattahoochee, Hoochie Coochies, and Andrew Panthers, all 3-2. But then the bottom teams in that division are 2 and 3. So that's anyone's division. This is a tight race and all around. So we'll be watching that closely. And then if you look at the scoreboard this week, here's a close game right off the top. Andrews Panthers versus Music City Riot, 103-101. That's a close one. And it looks like the deciding factor on the 101 team, the Texans defense, got 2 points. And that hurts. Dan Bailey, Dallas kicker, gets 4. David Johnson this week, we'll go into the fantasy talk with this. You're out west. How good of a fantasy option is David Johnson these days?
Oh, man, I tell you, if he keeps this up, he's the new Adrian Peterson. He's what AP was 3-4 years ago to fantasy football. It's only been 5
almost
games.
Like LaDainian a little bit because he catches more?
Yeah, good point.
Does he catch the ball?
He does. I think so. Okay. Let's see how many receptions he had. He only had one. He had 3 for 28 yards. So, yeah, pretty good. That gave him an extra 4 points, but, he had 36.5 total. So,
all right. So, it looks like for Andrews Panthers, it was Sterling Shepard. Right now, not been done very much in fantasy football, Sterling Shepard this season. You watched this Giants team for fantasy reasons, I believe, Mel. What do you think's going on there?
Well, Odell Beckham Jr. has had a down year for them. They do not have an offensive line. That's their problem. They cannot give Eli Manning time to get out there and get these weapons the ball. They've got arguably the best wide receiver core in the league, but they don't have an offensive line. They don't have the hog mollies.
Yeah. Right. You can tweet us if you have any fantasy questions. Use the hashtag C3 tonight because I don't have the C3 fantasy football one pulled up. I also have the YouTube comments available. I know that we didn't advertise this too much, so most people are going to be catching this on the back end. What to me, with the Giants, what a disappointment. They're the worst team in the division right now. And where you would think their strength would be, which is on the defensive line and in the passing game, you're not seeing it.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, hey, you're preaching to the choir with the Panthers too, right? I mean, what you thought was going to happen coming into the year has not happened. The Giants are feeling the same pain our Panther fans are.
Look, there's an interesting dynamic to Andrew Panther's box score is that he started Lamar Miller in the flex spot against Minnesota. He was clearly concerned, and he really had a lot of people, it looks like, that didn't show up. Michael Floyd couldn't do anything. He was on the bench. A lot of good sits there, but he goes and he sat DeAndre Hopkins. Now, I can understand sitting DeAndre Hopkins against Minnesota if you're concerned about their defense. But to me, he scored 13.5 points. That run defense against Minnesota is the tough one. He switches him out, DeAndre Hopkins for Lamar Miller. That's a win right there.
Yeah, for sure. One lesson I have learned the hard way over the years in fantasy football is when you got a stud, even when they're slumping, don't put them on the bench. It comes back and bites you way more often than it doesn't.
You start your starters. That's kind of my rule in fantasy football. They tend to do pretty well against tough competition also, but always a hard thing. Now, I'm going to move over to Peanut Punch, Mr. Peanut Punch versus Chattahoochee Hoochie Coochies. Yeah, we could use the Peanut in Carolina. He put up a whopping 157 points. A great effort by Chattahoochee Hoochie Coochies with 133, but not enough. Ezekiel Elliott's the story in this game, and DeMarco Murray. He just killed it with his running backs. Ezekiel Elliott, he's hitting his stride right now, literally, isn't he?
Yes, he is, and that's why I took him second overall. Behind that offensive line, and since Dak Prescott has come out and proven to be more than just a mere rookie, he's and if you watch the growth of Ezekiel Elliott, the first couple games he was just excited and just plowing right up into the hole, not getting anywhere. But now he's learning to be a little bit patient, let his blocks develop just a little bit, and then accelerate. And man, he's had a big week this week. He's got a bright future.
Yeah,
Emmitt Smith 2.0.
Yeah, I mean, really, and he's just getting better each week. So if you got nervous in the first 2 weeks, just think you're going to have a young, healthy stud who's going to be best like in week 12, which is right around fantasy football time. I mean, playoff time.
Yep, for sure.
All right, I'm going to jump over to the Mentor League. And is that the one you're in?
I'm in Rucker.
Okay, you're in Rucker. All right, so with the C3 Mentor League, there's some real powerhouses in this league. You got Panther Storm, who is Sandy Raitt, and she is 5-0, and it's her first time in the C3 Fantasy Football League.
Nice.
Right? That's pretty. The closest to her, there are two teams. She's in the East with Border Milk Biscuits, who's 3-2, and I'm a Classic Cam. You got two, Shack Lives Matter and Gin and Juice down at the bottom, 1-4 there. Mm-hmm. There's some cellar dwellers in this league. There's 4 teams of 1-4. But if you look over to the West right now, you have Summertime and Livin's Zeke. That's 4-1. And show me your TDs, 4-1. So you got a 5-0 team that looks to be gaining control of that Eastern Division, and then 2 4-1 teams battling for first. It's going to be a tough race there. And sure. It's nice to see that, like, new players, when they get hot, man, they get so excited too.
Heck yeah. Nothing worse than seeing somebody come in for their first season and then go 0-5, 0-6, and you wonder if they're ever going to come back. But they quite often do, don't they, Joan? And thank you for coming back, because she's a lot better.
That's right.
So, but that was
still angry at fantasy, though.
She is, but she's great. She's one of our best followers. But it is good to see a newbie coming in 5-0. That's exciting.
All right, so There's a guy. Show me your TDs scored 162.5 points this week.
Whew. There's some high-scoring teams in this league.
Yeah. Tom Brady, David Johnson, Amari Cooper, and T.Y. Hilton.
Amari Cooper went off this week.
What did he get?
It was in the 30s.
Full box score. Let me see. Full box score, scoring breakdown. Amari Cooper had 6 catches for 138 yards and a touchdown. What about T.Y. Hilton? 10 catches, 171 yards and a touchdown.
Ooh.
There was no beating. This guy, there's no beating. Show me your TDs this week. We'd all be showing our TDs.
So, I'm gonna leave that one alone, Professor.
Okay. All right. So elsewhere in that league, Ken Dye gets upset, 140-95. Ken Dye was 2-3 going in, or one. No, he was 2-2 going in.
Right.
Kim Walker wins. It's his first W against the commish. That's a pretty, that's something to be proud of right there.
Heck yeah, put the hammer down. 140 points, man. That's solid. That's a great way to get off the schneid.
Again, what you got here is Cardinals defense, 21 points. Antonio Brown is he may be the best fantasy football option out there, period.
Oh yeah, he's number one worthy. No doubt about it. Well, Johnson, either one of those, man. Whew.
Yeah. Lamar Miller, tough game. Is he going to pick it back up? A lot of people drafted him high, and he has not really put up a lot of points.
That's what's hurt the commish, and it's hurt me in another fantasy league is, if you look at the commish's team, he's got some Houston Texans on that team, and the Houston Texans, they have really disappointed fantasy-wise this year. You would have thought with the new high-priced quarterback that they were going to be better than last year. DeAndre Hopkins is very much disappointed. Lamar Miller's disappointing. Osweiler's disappointed. It's tough. So I don't know if he's going to come back or not.
I picked up Osweiler. I had Aaron Rodgers on a bye last week, and Osweiler did pretty well, but not a starting caliber.
Right.
Look at this. Panthers Storm pulls their 5th win out and only scored 97 points.
That's the beauty and the frustration of fantasy football. You can score 97 points and win, while you see somebody else there had 121 points and lost.
Yeah.
That's the nature of the game.
Okay, so let's look at Panther Storm's lineup real quick. LeGarrette Blount scored 12 points in the running back position. I'm not sure who New England is playing this week. We need to pull that up. But Mark Ingram, she's got on the bench, who had a bye last week. But that could be a good play against the Carolina Panthers defense.
Yeah, no doubt. And the Patriots play the Bengals this week.
Oh, man. And the Bengals have really not been all that good. They've been very disappointing so far.
Yeah.
Where is I think AJ Green missed practice today or on Wednesday. Today's Wednesday, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So he missed practice today. Does that what I think that the Bengals have had problems with is they can't stop anybody on defense really, which they're supposed to be pretty good.
And I've got Mike Nugent, their kicker. He gave me 2 or 3 points this week. Not much. It's pretty brutal. So
I'm looking over on the other side. I'm a classic Cam. Jarvis Landry, 3.5 points. Is this a time where you need to sit Jarvis Landry for a couple of weeks maybe until I feel like Miami is in the skids right now. They're releasing people left and right. They've melted down. I feel like there's some real trouble on that team in the locker room.
Yeah.
and it's going to be hard for them to pull out. Jarvis Landry, though, if there is a play on that team, it's him.
Yeah, for sure. And, Devontae Parker's given a couple of good weeks, but it's not somebody you can count on. So, I say stick with your starters, but he's a bubble guy. I hope he's not the core of your team.
Right.
He's kind of a second
Well, a lot
flex.
of people thought he was going to be that. You're talking about Landry, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people thought just the catches alone were going to carry him, and that's just not been the case. All right, let's jump over to Muhammad.
Moose.
And looking at the standings right now, Mike after dinner Minter leads the East at 4-1. 3 teams on his heels. 3-2. Team Keekley still wins the bed, and Team Chosen Ones all 3-2. Team Fun Keekley Town, who is Christina, 0-5. 0-5. That hurts.
That's all right, Christina. That's all right, Christina.
You know what is that? What stinks most about that is the Panthers are stinking too. Like, it would have been okay if the Panthers were like 3-2, 4-1, and you're 0-5 in fantasy. But boy, that's just salt in the wound. Yeah. When the Panthers are stinking. Shady Brady's deflated balls at 4-1 in the West, and Team Sackinger for a loss, 3-2 on the heels. So I'd have to look at the points, the total points, but right now we're talking about I think JP would get maybe JP gets the I can't figure out. I guess it would be Team Sackinger for a loss. That would be the wild card there. Ooh. With 597 points over Team Keekley, who has 592. So the wild card, the way it works in this league, and Mel, I know you're familiar with this, but the winner of each division goes on to the Super Playoff and one wild card, and that will be the best team in that league, first by record points being the tiebreaker in that. Yep. So you'll have to keep an eye on that. And this is where scoring points, this is where 91s, 66s, those types of weeks, they come and haunt you when it comes to making a wild card. Yeah. Any close ones in this one? Boy, this was just blowouts everywhere. 157 to set 117, 139 to 119, 124 to 68. Ooh. Ouch. Brian Palmy says Shady Brady's deflated balls. And it is a good one. I'm trying to look at this matchup right here. Team Keegan-Ass versus Team Sackinger for a loss. If you look at the quick box score, Brandon Hoyer, 24 points. What a nice sub in that is.
Absolutely. Jeez.
Who's on the bench? Drew Brees on a bye. Way to go. That's a great play right there. It didn't work out for the win, but you have 3 players on a bye there. You have Drew Brees, Kobe Fleener, and TJ Yeldon, and you still put up 120 points. That's a pretty solid week. Heck yeah. 24 points from Theo Riddick. Back to fantasy talk. They picked up Justin Forsett. Does that have any bearing on Theo Riddick's value? He's also a little nicked up. He didn't practice today with an ankle injury.
I don't like to hear that because I got Riddick in one of my leagues. That he's been a stud, but yeah, they're not. It might take them a couple weeks, but Forsett's not being brought in to ride the pine.
Is there any value in Forsett as an addition for a team in need of a running back?
If you're desperate, because he could pay off, but he's not going to be, a running back 1 caliber type of player. He's very similar to Riddick.
How about the pickup of the week for me, which it didn't help me win, it helped me, but it didn't get me the win. I picked up Jaquiz Rogers because all the running backs are.
Oh,
All the running backs are hurt, and I got a starting back who got like 30 touches or some craziness.
You start pulling against the Panthers and see what happens. Jeez.
Oh, I know. I called it. I called against my own team. It hurts my heart, man, to do it because I'm such a homer, like you said last night. But this team's a mess right now.
Yeah.
Cam, you do the cam. See what they got going on. Ben Roethlisberger. Oh my goodness.
Talk about fantasy stud.
That's the pick of the year right there.
Just take the Pittsburgh Steelers offense, and you got a fantasy
like their whole team.
Yeah, incredible.
Rob Gronkowski values jumping up for him. First again loses this game, but may be in a great position going forward. You have Greg Olsen and Rob Gronkowski on your team. I think Latavius Murray hurt right now is what's hurting that team there.
Yeah.
But DeAndre Washington, he's been good. But there's another guy on that team that is kind of vulturing touchdowns.
Is that the Raiders?
I forget his name. Yeah, he's like a third back.
Ricard. It looks like Richard. Last name is Ricard. It looks like Richard.
Oh, Ricard.
Yeah,
like Jean-Luc Ricard. Jean-Luc Picard.
He's an undrafted rookie free agent, and he's pretty daggone good. He's worthy of picking up and stashing on your bench if Murray misses much more time.
Right. Todd Gurley's back 2 weeks in a row.
Baby.
19.5 points against Buffalo's defense, and Buffalo's defense scored 20 points this week. So it's not like they were trash. Right. But Todd Gurley finds a way to get it done. And I think he had a fumble in this game, but his value up. Now,
Gurley man.
Somebody else's value. Yes, the Gurley man, and I'm a Gurley man. But what's going to happen with Matt Forte was JP the Pope right so long that his value is gone now? Because as soon as he had that big 30-point game, JP said trade him, and then he's done terrible since. Yeah,
and Ken Dye said the same thing. He actually did trade Forte away, and Ken and I were talking about that today via text, and I mean he went from like 36 down to like 6 points, 8 points, but I think you still got to start him if he's on your team. He's still got the big play potential, but he's on the decline. So it was smart to sell while it was high.
A lot of movement on the waiver wire in this league today. Bilal Powell dropped, added Charles Clay from tight end from the Bills is one move. Robert Woods, is that a wide receiver from Buffalo? Two people from Buffalo. Carson Wentz dropped. Devontae Adams added. And
with Randall Cobb being hurt, might be smart.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah. James Starks added. Matt Jones dropped. And let me see. I think that's about it. Cameron Meredith. I'm not sure who that is. Chicago. Jesse James added. Tight end moves. So people making some tight end moves and trying to find a wide receiver. If you see this, Jeremy Curley, Jacob
He's a hot
Tammy.
Pickup this week. Hot pickups, Jeremy Curley.
Why is that?
He had a good week, and he seems to be catching on with the 49ers. So somebody's got to catch the balls out there, right?
Yeah. I mean, well, I guess. And, you got Kaepernick hopefully will maybe inject some life into that. All right, let's pop over to Rucker. And this is your league, right?
Yep.
All right. In the East, the Chosen One, 4-1, and Team Hazelwood close on the tails, as well as RH Chronicles of Cam, and that is 3-3-2 teams in the East, so that's close.
Oh yeah.
How about this, Grant? 0-5, and you're the C3. You're the C3 team. You can't be 0-5 and be C3 team. Gosh, Mel, you're doing well in your league. Tell me what's happening.
Oh, I've been very fortunate. And hey, let's face it, fantasy football is fun, but you can think you're the smartest fantasy football player in the world. It comes down to, is your player hot? Is your player healthy? Do you have some good timings? Are you fortunate? It's a lot of skill, but it's also a lot of luck. But
sounds like a lot like real football.
It is. It's a lot like real football, but you can't get too high, you can't get too low. But you are what your record says you are. So, yeah, I've been lucky with Ezekiel Elliott.
You sound like Ron Rivera right now.
I've got all these. We picked a bad day to have a bad day.
Yes, you are Ron Rivera. You're channeling Ron Rivera.
Sometimes I have a milkshake.
Yeah, or a lot.
A lot of days I have a milkshake.
Poor kid. Zach Sanchez and Daryl Worley, they were working when I went to the Sonic today. They were handing out milkshakes everywhere.
Were they on roller skates like they were on the football field?
There you go. The milkshake brings all the touchdowns to the bar.
There you go.
Better than yours.
But I got Ezekiel Elliott. I've got LaShawn McCoy. I've got Clyde from San Francisco, the running back. So been pretty fortunate as far as that goes. And then Cam Newton. But luckily I was playing Grant this week, and I was victorious before the debacle that was Derek Anderson. But had a pretty strong week. But I'm not kidding myself. This is a week-to-week league. I could be in third place after next week.
Because there's 3 teams that are just one game behind you.
Yeah.
On the other side of the league in the Western Division, Fear the Beard is with you at 4-1, and
which is who I play. I play Fear of the Beard this week. That's going to be a battle.
Oh wow! So you guys, this is a match of the Titans.
Yes, sir. It's going to be something.
Do you have any questions, fantasy-wise, about your team?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I do, because I was not able to
talk about them. All right, so you've got Cam Newton, and you got Ezekiel. You got Sterling Shepard, question there, right? Playing Baltimore. Steve Smith playing the Giants. That could be good. Jimmy Graham at Atlanta. LaShawn McCoy, San Francisco. That's great. Carlos Hyde, great. So who's your question?
Well,
Quincy Enunwa.
Well, see, I had a problem. I had Eric Decker, and he got moved to IR. So
did you drop him?
I did. I dropped him, and I picked up Michael Thomas.
He's done.
Yeah. Should I put Michael Thomas in for Sterling Shepard or Steve Smith, who turned his ankle late in the game last week? Kind of tough there.
Well, what are you leaning towards? Because right now, the thing with Michael Thomas is if you put him in, it's going to be hit or miss. Gio may be a good play against New England.
You think?
The little dump passes, catching. I wonder, what's this? Is Jeremy Hill, how is he doing?
I think
look up his status. Is he healthy right now?
Yeah. I think I hadn't followed him too close.
Enunwa guy, man, you're talking about. Look, it says Jeremy Hill's Week 6 status uncertain for fantasy football owners.
Ooh, hey now.
He was in full pads on practice, despite spotted wearing a sling on his left arm.
Ooh. Interesting. Something to keep an eye on there.
They said that the injury is not serious, according to ESPN's Catherine Terrell. Hill is listed as questionable, is expected to play through injury. Fantasy impact. This is bad news for Hill's fantasy owners, though. He's participating in practice. Hill was in a lot of pain when he went down on Sunday. Sling's preventative, but the Bengals are going to shift the workload to Giovanni.
Oh, I'm might have to put him in there.
Oh gosh, it makes it tougher. Iwanua has got to play Arizona though.
Yeah,
that's not good.
But
Michael Thomas could be great.
Yeah, he could. I might have to put him in as one of the flexes. But here's a question for you. I got a trade offer from Grant today. He offered me, and he's trying to get Carlos.
Was he trying to trade teams?
Well, exactly. He's tried to get Carlos Hyde off of me like 10 times this year. So this time he sends me, and he saw that Eric Decker went down, so he tried to hit me up at a weak moment, right? So he offers me, oh gosh, what's the little guy in Green Bay? Randall Cobb. He offered me Randall Cobb.
He's hurt though.
Exactly. So he was hoping I wasn't reading the clippings. And then Spencer Ware. So I came back to him and I said,
oh, yeah, dude, he's trying to get you on that one.
Yeah. So I came back to him and I said, well, hey, I before the season started, I told you I would take Cobb for Hyde trade up, but now Hyde is a monster. I'm not getting rid of him unless you want to give me OBJ. I told him I'd trade him for OBJ. And I think he turned me down on that. So
I hear you. Ocean Drive Slim, you can follow him at Esoteric Cranium on Twitter, said Willie Snead is back. Thomas will lose some value because of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ocean Drive Slim, tell us what's your record in the league? What league? I there's so many teams I just can't keep up with them.
No,
but,
I know.
I'm interested in. That's a tough one. And Willie Snead, he got a lot of work when he was healthy.
What's the word on Bradbury? Is he coming back this week?
I don't think so.
No.
I heard Jonathan Stewart's coming back, though.
Oh, there you go. Which
I heard that today.
Now, let me tell you who won the Panthers prize this week for the most Panther points, and it was because they had Greg Olsen and one Cameron Artis-Payne, who absolutely blew up.
Ooh, who was that?
Long live Tony Pike, our boy Victor.
Long live Tony Pike. So he gets the bag.
He does.
All right, I have to send out like everything.
Yeah, I know, right? You are the mailman.
I'm sorry.
Don't forget Joe. Don't forget Joe.
Everybody.
Pike's up, son. Yeah.
I know, everybody. I haven't forgotten any of the winners. I just have to make it to the post office. The road happened to collapse on the way to the closest post office. And I know that sounds like, oh, whatever, the dog ate my homework. But we are having massive flooding here. But I should have had all this stuff out. Long live Tony Pike gets the bag, and Joan gets the shirt. And I know I got to still send out some other stuff. And Ken, one day I will hook you up with some stuff. One day.
One day. He'll never be broke.
I know. Okay, so let's jump over to Muhammad, our last league to talk about. We haven't talked about this league yet, have we?
I thought we did.
Is that the one we just did?
No, we just did Rucker. I think you did them all.
Is that really all of them? Let me see.
Because you said, let's go to Muhammad. I said, Moose.
Yep, because we did Mike after that. All right, well, right on. We just flew through the leagues. What's our what's the prize this week? I got to look it up, don't I?
Yeah.
Let's see. All right.
Let me put that up on the website.
I know. It's in the draft guide, everybody, which everybody's had it emailed to them like 27 times, I think. All right, so here it is. As long as I didn't change it in this year's drive, because this is last year's.
We didn't change it. So
we did close but no cigar, smallest margin of victory. And now I do want to be clear on this because it sounds like the prize should go to the team that loses because it says close but no cigar. That's just the name of the challenge. We're giving it to the winner of the closest matchup in all the leagues.
So it's actually close, and I'm enjoying that cigar.
Exactly. And then also what we'll do is we'll do the tiebreaker for in case it's a half point or something. If there's a tiebreaker, we'll go to the highest point of the ties.
Okay.
Overall.
And what's the prize this week? Do you know yet?
Ooh, yeah, I got a good you want me to give away a good prize this week?
Let's do it.
This week is the Cam Newton Fathead. It's a mini Fathead. Hold on, I'll get it. Mel, you talk about fantasy football for 35 seconds while I get this out of the closet.
You go, boy. All right. So this coming week, I'd like to hear from anybody out there watching. Go ahead and tweet us out using hashtag C3. Who's been your biggest surprise on your team? Somebody that you took late in the round that's just blown up for you, because that's how you win at the end of the day. When you get these diamonds in the rough that just you took a gamble on at the end, they've blown up for you. All right, he's back.
All right, here it is. This is a mini.
Oh, I want that, man.
A mini Fathead to where you can put it in your office at work and not be the guy that your wife hates because you got a giant size Cam Newton. You can have your little mini. By the way, I bought this for the league, and my wife stopped me from keeping it.
Sure. Well,
she said, she wanted me to put my jersey up or something, but I wanted to have, I was like a little kid where you bought a kid a birthday present when you're a kid and you didn't want to have to give it to him because you wanted it yourself. That's how I was with this.
Well, so that it doesn't get misplaced, go take that and put it down next to your wife's purse, where your balls are.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Right beside the coin purse.
Yeah, I had to throw it out there. That's a great prize, man. I want it. I hope I win this week. So it's gonna be a lot.
I hope you do too. And because then I won't mail it to you, and I'll put it on my wall behind you.
I want exactly. So I'll see it every week during the podcast.
That's right. It's kind of like yours. Right?
Yeah,
BS12's on YouTube. Thanks for joining us, Ruby Sage and Amelia Sage, both in the show. I love to have this. We're really the following for the C3 podcast has grown so much. And while we're doing the fantasy thing just kind of for fun and for our league, it's great to see everybody having such a good time.
Absolutely. What it's all about, really.
I do think this is that I want to encourage some people this is kind of a point in the season where I, as a fantasy owner, just to kind of talk about this from a personal standpoint, it's where I kind of either get into it for the long run or check out.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm losing right now and it's at a league where there's no money on the line, I will check out in a heartbeat and focus on the website, focus on all these different things. But what I want to encourage everybody is I am not an aggressive fantasy football player. So when I have some bad things happen to my team or run into some challenges, I try to just waiver wire it only. But at some point, it's worth considering making an aggressive move to help your team. And so I think that teams that I see pull through in the end are ones that don't get bogged down in week 5 and 6 when they're 2 and 4 or whatever. So work those waiver wires hard. Consider being active and putting some trades out there. And don't just lowball people. Give somebody something that's legitimate that can help both of your teams get better. Look at teams where their strengths and their weaknesses are. Are they struggling at running back? Do you have an extra running back? Could you part with a solid player and maybe fill that void to tighten up somewhere else? That's just where I feel like the season is right now, Mel.
Absolutely. And one other piece of advice I'll throw out there is if you're humming along, doing well, feeling good, you got that star player. Let's say you have Ezekiel Elliott and you're feeling good. Well, you know what? Put some contingency plans in place. What if he goes out there and gets hurt this week? So
you have to be active on the waiver wire, looking for people that are going to take over. Yeah, exactly. Proactive, trying to get that guy. If an injury happens on a team, who can that benefit? Because you're not getting a starter right now. You got to find somebody like a Justin Forsett
or a Derrick Henry out in Tennessee. Because if DeMarco Murray gets hurt, that guy's going to blow up.
Yeah, I mean, he's averaging 8 yards a carry right now, or some crazy mess.
Boy,
All right, this is
Carolina right now. Whew.
I know we needed him. All right, this is the C3 Fantasy Football Podcast. Any last comments before we dip out of here, Mel? We hit it 45 minutes on the head.
Oh, that's perfect. Hey, guys, I'm going to be sending out an email tomorrow kind of recapping the prizes and what the contest is coming out this week. Just stay active, stay involved. This is by the fans, for the fans. We're having a lot of fun, and it's all for you. So be active, be a chatter, use hashtag C3FF, and keep the conversation going.
Ocean Drive Slim's 3-2 right now in his league. He's had 14 acquisitions.
Ooh,
That's
nice.
working it. That's working it.
That's
All right. My name's Tony Dunn. It's the C3 Fantasy Football Podcast, but where we live at is on Tuesday nights at 10 p.m. on the C3 Carolina Panthers podcast. Check us out. Tell a friend. Hey, and if you're just running across the podcast, look, this is for the C3 Fantasy Football Challenge, where it's 48 teams that enter. There's prizes each and every week. It's for Panther fans focused on for making this experience Panther-oriented, and the top prize gets $300 and a Vernon Butler jersey this year. We'll check you out next week.
Peace.